All right, guys, we have gone through pretty much everything. Okay, we are almost ready to start hopping in some trades, but I want to talk to you guys about what you should do before you hop in every trade because it's very different on paper than when you're dealing with real money, right? So the biggest problem I see with new traders is chasing trades, right? The second it goes in their direction that they thought it was going to go into, they hop in the trade and they end up getting stopped out with a terrible entry with no confirmation just because they didn't want to miss the trade. Okay. So, what I like to do now in my head, it's mental because I've done it so many times. But what I like to do before I hop into a trade now is I go through and I make sure I have these confirmations. I ask myself, why am I taking the trade before I actually take the trade? Okay. So this trade, guys, I actually took this trade yesterday. And I will tell you why I took it. So I had this. This was my trade. Sec. And I could have targeted way more, but targeted this buy side. It was almost a 1-to-2 risk to reward. And it was a beautiful trade, and we smacked. Now, why did I take this trade? What went through my mind before I clicked the buy button? Okay, let's go through it. What did we have? So this is market open, right? Here is market open. This candle is market open. I usually try to wait till about 9:40 before I take a trade, but today or yesterday it was at 9:38. Okay, it was at 9:38. And why did I take this trade? Okay, so these are the confluences that went through my head. Okay, we swept all sell side liquidity. I don't take a trade unless we are either hunting liquidity or we take liquidity. So that's one confluence out the window. Okay, we sweep all sell side liquidity, pre-market sell side liquidity. Okay, and what do we do off sweeping it? Okay, we get a rejection and we get a break of structure. So we not only get a break of structure here, okay, we get a break of structure here, whatever. So we have a very clear break of structure. That's two confluences, guys. Two confluences already. Okay. Now we look, right? We have an inverse fair value gap here on the downside. Okay. Then after an inverse, see, I hopped into this trade actually late, but after that inverse, we have a fair value gap. Right now, this setup is looking so nice already. Now, I should have got in, okay, but I waited. I waited for more confirmation. What do we get after? We get another fair value gap. So we have 4 confluences already. If you want to count 2 fair value gaps, that's 5 confluences. And then after this fair value gap, we have a bullish EMA cross. Now, I don't know if you guys have watched the EMA videos Ian has made yet, but EMA cross is so peak. Like, you take those 5 confluences and then you add a bullish EMA cross to it. It's like, I was so confident in this trade, like so confident in this trade. Okay, so that's 5 confluences. We had a sell side liquidity sweep, we had a break of structure, we had an inverse fair value gap, we had 2 fair value gaps, and we had an EMA cross. So those were my 5 confirmations. Okay, I went down my checklist, 5 confirmations, and I got in this long. After this fair value gap closed, I got in this long, and I targeted buy side liquidity over here. Okay, this is a real trade, by the way. I targeted buy side liquidity over here. And as you can see, we had actually 0 drawdown. We were never in the red. Once I got to a 1-to-1, so once I got to here, I always do this. You can either find it works for you or it doesn't, but I always do this. Once I got to there, I went break even. So once we got to here on the charts, I went break even, risk-free trade. If it hits my stop loss, it hits my stop loss. If it hits my take profit, it hits my take profit. And luckily, we went down a little off that, but we ended up smashing through my TP, and we could have targeted more than that. But all this video is please do not chase trades just because you don't want to miss it. It's better to not take a trade than to chase a trade and lose. Or honestly, chase a trade and win is also like you need to follow your rules. So even if you get away with a win, it's a terrible habit to get into. Now, if I was going to chase this trade, The second we swept liquidity, right, I would have got in after this fair value gap. Now, would it have played out? Yes, it would have. But there was also a very good chance we could have dumped. Okay, so having that extra confirmation, I had 5 confluences to get into this trade. Now, we are going to teach you what we use for our strategy, and if it works for you, it works for you. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. You'll have all the basics to create your own strategy: liquidity sweep, break of structure, inverse fair value gap, EMA cross. That's a beautiful setup for me. And if it works for you, it works for you too. But you need to have a list of things that you look for before getting in a trade. And if you don't see those things, you don't get in the trade. It's that simple, okay? So in this trade, right, what do we have? We had a liquidity sweep. We had a break of structure. We had an inverse fair value gap. We had a fair value gap. And we had an EMA cross. Okay, so if I had this all written down on a piece of paper, right, and I was checking through my checklist before I got into a trade, I would have, you know what, I'm just going to do it for the fun of it. I would have went, boop, check, 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 and we would have banged out this trade. So guys, when you figure out what strategy works for you, whether it's my strategy and Ian's strategy and Max's strategy, or whether it's your own strategy, whether you use these confluences and put them into your own strategy, whatever works for you, you need to have a list of confluences that you see before a trade before you get into the trade. And if you don't see those confluences, don't get into the trade, okay? That's all this video is about. I don't want you guys chasing trades, okay? You'd rather not take a trade, get off for the day, $0 on the day, then hop in a trade that you thought you were chasing and get stopped out negative on the day, okay? Because when you do that, that's one bad habit leads into another bad habit. You start revenge trading and you lose the account. Guys, we've been there. You've been there, okay? Me, Ian, and Max are trying to save you the struggle of doing what we've done many times, okay? Now, when you mark out your confluences and you have this checklist, I promise your win rate will skyrocket. All right, so make sure you guys have a list of confluences that you look for before entering a trade, and your win rate is going to be so much higher than chasing trades. Okay, guys, if you haven't watched the EMA videos yet, make sure when you do watch those, you get your notepad out and you take notes, because that is probably the most important part of this entire strategy. It's what has printed me, Max, and Ian over $90,000 in the last 2 months. Okay, so please pay attention to that. Please, please. I want everyone in here to be profitable. I want everyone in here printing. I don't know if we have announced it yet, but if not, I'm saying it right now. We will announce it, but we are going to take whoever is the most profitable in this, and we are going to fly them out, and we're going to do a trip, me, Max, Ian, and you, to the most profitable. So please pay attention. Write down notes, go on the chart, back test, and I'll see you in the next video.